Beloved friends, I want to share with you a truth that many resist, yet it shines brightly in the divine law of life. Why is it that the strongest women of God often face the fiercest storms, the most hidden battles, and the heaviest burdens? The answer is not punishment, nor is it abandonment. It is purpose. It is preparation. It is the soul's appointment with greatness. When you observe the lilies of the field, they grow through the dark soil before they reveal their beauty. The oak tree faces the winds to deepen its roots. Likewise, God's strongest women are refined in the furnace of affliction, not because they are weak, but because they are chosen vessels of His eternal plan. My beloved friend, I want you to know this truth and engrave it deeply in your heart. Suffering is not a curse. It is not the evidence of some cruel and indifferent God, nor is it the punishment of a harsh and unforgiving universe. Rather, suffering is often the clear and unmistakable sign of divine trust. It is a calling. When the Infinite Spirit permits one of His daughters to walk through the valley of shadows, He does so not because He delights in her tears, but because He sees in her a greatness that even she may not yet recognize. He knows the treasures hidden in her soul, and He allows the pressures of life to uncover the gold within. You may say, but why me? Why must I endure this sorrow, this rejection, this pain that pierces deeper than words? The answer lies in the mystery of divine purpose. The seed that is planted in the earth must first die before it brings forth fruit. The pearl is born out of irritation. The diamond is formed under unimaginable weight. And so it is with the strongest women of God. Their trials are not signs of weakness, but signals of the immensity of the destiny placed within them. Do not think of your suffering as some meaningless affliction, as though the universe has conspired to make you miserable. No, the law of life is purposeful, and every experience, though bitter to the taste at first, carries within it a hidden blessing. When the storms of life beat against you, they are awakening the strength that lies dormant within your soul. The oak tree does not curse the wind. It grows roots deeper into the earth because of it. Likewise, the soul that suffers is forced to send its roots deeper into the divine presence. When I tell you that suffering is a calling, I mean that life itself has chosen you as a vessel through which light will shine. Think of the prophets, the apostles, the saints, and the countless women of courage across the centuries. Their lives were not free of difficulty, but filled with it. Yet those very burdens prepared them to speak, to teach, to heal, to inspire, to transform. Had they been spared their afflictions, their testimonies would be hollow. But it was the furnace of affliction that made their voices ring with authenticity and power. Beloved, when the Infinite entrusts you with pain, He also entrusts you with comfort for others. Paul wrote that God comforts us in all our troubles, so that we may comfort others with the comfort we ourselves have received. This is why your suffering is a calling. It calls you upward, outward, onward, into realms of compassion and empathy you never imagined. Your pain is not only about you, it is about the countless lives that will be touched, because you endured, because you did not quit, because you chose to rise instead of fall. Now, some may ask that if God loves me, why would He allow me to suffer at all? My answer is simple. Love does not always shield us from the world. Love equips us to overcome the world. The Infinite is not interested in producing fragile souls who collapse at the first sign of adversity. He desires to mold warriors of light, women who stand unshaken when the winds howl, who shine brighter when the night grows darker. Your suffering, dear heart, is the divine hammer striking the anvil of your life, shaping you into the radiant masterpiece you were created to be. Remember this: the body may groan, the mind may weep, but the spirit within you is unconquerable. The presence of God within you cannot be broken, cannot be defeated, cannot be destroyed. When trials come, they may shake the outer shell, but they cannot touch the immortal flame inside you. This is why you must reinterpret your suffering. Do not see it as a curse to flee from, but as a calling to embrace with faith. When you shift your perspective in this way, you begin to see that every disappointment carried wisdom. Every heartbreak unveiled compassion. Every setback pushed you closer to your true destiny. Suffering becomes the chisel that reveals the beauty of your character. Instead of crushing you, it refines you. Instead of destroying you, it enlarges you. And once you awaken to this, you cease to resist life's challenges with bitterness. Instead, you say, Though I do not understand fully, I trust the divine plan. Though I feel the weight, I know it is building my strength. Your suffering, then, is the evidence of God's confidence in you. He knows that you can carry it, and more than that, he knows that you can transcend it. A weaker soul would collapse, but you, chosen, strong, and beloved, will rise. The trial that seemed designed to break you is in truth designed to reveal you. Without the heat, the gold remains hidden in the ore. Without the rain, the seed cannot burst forth into life. Without the struggle, the woman of God cannot step into her fullest authority and grace. So the next time tears fall upon your pillow, the next time your heart cries out in silence, remember this word. It is not a curse, it is a calling. You are walking a sacred path. Your pain is proof that you are being prepared for something greater than yourself. One day you will look back and see that every moment of anguish was a stepping stone. You will discover that the nights of despair were the very nights heaven was closest to your side. You will see that your scars became the places where God's glory shone the brightest. Beloved, do not resist the calling. Embrace it. Lift your head and say, this too shall pass. And when it does, I shall stand stronger, wiser, and more radiant than before. Say to yourself, the infinite presence within me is greater than this trial. I am not defeated. I am being refined. I am not cursed. I am chosen. I am not abandoned. I am entrusted. Hold fast to this truth. Whisper it to your soul, for the day will come when you will stand in the light of victory, and you will thank God for every tear, for every trial, for every valley. You will see clearly that suffering was not your enemy, but your calling, leading you into the fullness of your divine purpose. My dear friend, let me tell you something eternal and true. Strength is never discovered in the ease of life. It is revealed in the storm. A woman does not know the depth of her spirit when the sun shines gently, when the winds are soft, when all is calm. Her true measure is made clear when the tempests howl, when the seas rage, when the world seems set against her. Just as a ship's worth is tested not in the harbor, but on the high seas, so too is the soul's greatness measured when the storm clouds gather overhead. Consider the nature of the diamond. It is not formed in gentle comfort, but under the weight of immense pressure and heat. Without the storm of nature's elements, that diamond would never emerge, and its brilliance would remain hidden. Likewise, the strongest women of God are refined and made luminous by the adversities they endure. Their storms are not meaningless torments. They are the fires that reveal the radiance already within. You may ask, why does strength require storms? Because strength that is never tested is not strength at all. A muscle that is never strained never grows. A mind that is never challenged never sharpens. A soul that never endures hardship remains shallow. The infinite permits storms, because he knows that within the storm lies the awakening of inner might. The oak tree grows deep roots because it has faced many winds. Without them, it would topple at the first blast. So it is with you, beloved. Every storm that has beaten against you has forced you to send your roots deeper into the divine source of all life. Do not despise the storm, for it reveals your endurance. It strips away illusions and shows you what cannot be shaken. When the waves crash, you discover the solid rock beneath your feet. When the thunder roars, you remember that the presence within you is mightier than any tempest. When you endure what others thought would destroy you, you prove to yourself and to the watching world that the infinite is your unshakable foundation. Think of the countless women throughout history who shone brightly because of storms. Esther faced the threat of annihilation, yet stood with courage to save her people. Ruth endured loss and poverty, yet pressed on in faith to become part of the lineage of kings. Mary, the mother of Jesus, bore shame, misunderstanding, and grief, yet her yes to God birthed salvation into the world. In each case, the storm revealed the depth of their strength. Without the storm, their greatness would have remained veiled. Now let us bring this closer to your life. The storm you face today, the disappointment, the betrayal, the rejection, the trial that seems too heavy to bear, this is not a sign of weakness. It is the very circumstance that will prove your strength. Others may run from the tempest, but you stand. Others may collapse, but you rise. You may tremble, but you do not break. And each time you survive what once seemed unbearable, your spirit grows more resilient, more luminous, more powerful. There is also a hidden beauty in the storm. It teaches you reliance not on the frail support of man, but on the eternal presence of God within you. When earthly supports crumble, you turn inward and upward. You realize that your true refuge is not found in the opinions of people, nor in the security of possessions, but in the infinite that never fails. This realization is priceless. It cannot be bought. It cannot be taught in books. It can only be learned through experience, and the storm is the classroom. Beloved, when you find yourself in the tempest, affirm quietly within, the infinite presence sustains me. I am calm, I am secure, I am safe, for God is my anchor. This affirmation draws upon the inexhaustible reservoir of divine strength within you. You will find that even as the winds howl, a deep peace begins to settle in your soul. This peace is the proof that your strength has been revealed, that your faith is working, that your roots are deep. Let me assure you of this. Storms do not last forever. They pass. The clouds roll away. The sun breaks forth. The waters grow calm. But when the storm is over, you are not the same as you were before. You are stronger, wiser, and more radiant. You carry within you the memory of the storm and the knowledge that you endured. This becomes a permanent part of your soul's strength. It is your testimony, your song of triumph, your living proof that God's grace is sufficient. Think of how the storm affects others around you. When people see you endure with dignity, when they watch you stand firm in faith while winds rage, they are inspired. Your endurance becomes their encouragement. Your strength becomes their beacon. Without knowing it, your storms may become the light that guides another woman through her own dark night. Your resilience is contagious. Your faith is a seed planted in the hearts of those who witness it. Do not fear the storm, beloved. Do not curse it. Instead, whisper to your heart, this storm is not my end. It is my unveiling. It is revealing the strength within me, the courage I did not know I had, the faith that cannot be shaken. This simple shift of thought transforms the storm from an enemy into a friend, from a terror into a teacher. Remember always that God does not abandon his children in the storm. He walks upon the waters, he calms the waves. He strengthens the faint-hearted. His presence is closer in the tempest than in the sunshine. You may feel alone, but you are never alone. The infinite is the silent companion beside you, holding you steady when the winds threaten to sweep you away. Trust this presence. Lean into it. Allow the storm to drive you deeper into union with the source of all life. And so I say again, strength is revealed in the storm. Without the tempest, you would not know the power within. Without the rain, you would not appreciate the harvest. Without the struggle, you would not recognize your triumph. Rejoice then, not in the suffering itself, but in what it produces. For the storm is temporary, but the strength it reveals in you is eternal. My dear one, let us ponder a sacred truth, a truth that many overlook in the midst of sorrow. Every season of suffering expands the soul's inner capacity to receive, to hold, and to pour out greater blessing. It is a law of life that the vessel must be stretched before it can hold more. The wine cannot be poured into a small jar unless the jar is enlarged. The river cannot flow freely into a narrow channel unless the channel is deepened. So it is with the soul of a woman chosen by God. Her pain, though bitter to the taste, is the very means by which she is being expanded for greater glory. You may not see it now, you may not feel it in the hour of anguish, but suffering is stretching you. It is enlarging your capacity to love, to forgive, to understand, to endure. The heart that has never been broken can love, yes, but the heart that has walked through loss can love with a depth that cannot be measured. The woman who has faced betrayal knows how to comfort the betrayed. The one who has endured poverty knows how to give with compassion. The one who has felt rejection knows how to embrace the forgotten. Suffering deepens the soul's well, and from that deeper well, rivers of living water flow to others. Think of a tree planted in shallow soil. It may sprout quickly, it may look vibrant for a season, but when drought comes, its roots are too shallow to find water. Contrast this with a tree planted in deep soil, which has endured storms and seasons of barrenness. Its roots stretch wide and deep. When the sun scorches the earth, that tree still stands, for it has tapped into hidden streams. Beloved, your suffering is deepening your roots into the hidden springs of divine wisdom and strength. Without it, your roots would remain shallow, and your life would topple in the face of trial. Life is always preparing you for more. If your blessings come before your soul has been stretched, you will not be able to hold them. They will slip through your fingers like water in a cracked vessel. This is why the Infinite permits seasons of testing. They are not to rob you of joy, but to prepare you to hold more joy than you ever imagined. They are not to rob you of love, but to prepare you to hold a love so vast it can heal nations. They are not to rob you of peace, but to prepare you to radiate peace to every corner of your world. Let me assure you, nothing in your suffering is wasted. The tears you have shed are watering the soil of your soul. Each tear carries a hidden power, softening the heart, cleansing the mind, preparing the ground for seeds of greatness. The pain you feel now is stretching your spiritual muscles, so that when abundance comes, when opportunities come, when divine assignments come, you will have the capacity to bear them with grace. Do not despise the stretching, beloved. When the soul is stretched, it often feels as though it is breaking. The clay in the hands of the potter does not understand why it is pressed and pulled, why it is placed in the fire. Yet only through that process does it become a vessel of beauty and usefulness. You are clay in the hands of the divine potter, and the stretching, the pressing, the heating, it is all for your transformation. The vessel that emerges will be larger, stronger, more radiant, more capable of carrying the blessings ordained for you. The law of correspondence tells us that the outer always reflects the inner. If you wish to see greater blessings in your outer world, your inner world must first expand to hold them. Your consciousness must rise to the level of your destiny. This is why suffering comes. It pushes you beyond your comfort. It enlarges your awareness. It forces you to lean into the infinite presence. Without suffering, you would remain in the small circle of the known. With it, you are stretched into the vastness of God's plan. Beloved, you must remember that the infinite never takes from you without the intention of giving you more. When one door closes, it is because another, larger one is being prepared. When one chapter ends, it is because a greater story is about to unfold. But you cannot step into the larger story with the same small capacity. The soul must be stretched to receive the new. And though the stretching is uncomfortable, it is sacred. It is the sign that you are being prepared for more than you can presently see. Let us consider an image. A mother about to give birth. Before the child comes forth, her body must stretch in ways that are painful, even overwhelming. Yet without that stretching, the child cannot be delivered. Likewise, before the birth of your destiny, your soul must stretch. It is painful, yes, but it is also purposeful. Something is being birthed in you, through you, and for you. The stretching is not the end. It is the sign that new life is on the way. I want you to hold this affirmation in your heart. Every challenge is expanding me. Every trial is enlarging me. Every sorrow is preparing me for greater joy. Whisper it to yourself when you feel overwhelmed. Write it upon the tablet of your mind. This affirmation aligns you with the truth that your suffering is not meaningless. It is the divine preparation of your soul to hold blessings too large for the vessel you were yesterday. Think of it this way. When a reservoir is expanded, more water can be stored. When a house is enlarged, more people can find shelter. When a heart is stretched, more love can flow. Your soul is being enlarged, dear one, and soon you will discover that you have more to give, more to share, more to bless than you ever thought possible. This is the hidden gift of suffering. It transforms you into a vessel that can hold the infinite abundance of God. So do not despair when life stretches you. Embrace it as a sacred sign that your destiny is unfolding. Stand tall and say, though I feel the pain, I know the purpose. Though I cannot see the end, I trust the infinite who leads me. Though I am stretched, I am not destroyed. I am being prepared for more than I can imagine. When you adopt this perspective, your suffering becomes holy. It ceases to be a prison and becomes a passageway. It ceases to be meaningless and becomes meaningful. It ceases to be your breaking and becomes your making. And one day you will look back and see clearly that every trial was enlarging you, every loss was deepening you, every sorrow was preparing you. Then, when the blessings pour forth, when the joy overflows, when the purpose is unveiled, you will say with gratitude, it was worth it. Every tear was worth it. for it made me into the vessel I am today. My beloved, there is a tender truth that few understand in the depth of their hearts. Your tears are not wasted. Your sighs are not forgotten. Your groanings are not unheard. Every tear that falls from your eyes is a prayer rising to heaven. You may not speak the words, you may not form a single sentence, but the infinite presence within you interprets the language of your soul. The tear upon your cheek is as eloquent in the courts of heaven as the most polished prayer uttered in words. For God listens not merely to the lips, but to the heart. When the burden presses so heavily that words fail, when your heart aches beyond description, you may feel as though you are silent, as though you have nothing to offer in prayer. Yet at that very moment, your tears are speaking for you. The Spirit of God, dwelling within, knows your needs, feels your pain, and translates your wordless cry into petitions before the throne of grace. You are never voiceless, for your tears are the voice of your innermost being, calling out for divine help. Think of this. A mother knows the cry of her child. The infant cannot articulate hunger, cannot explain pain, cannot describe discomfort. Yet the mother understands the meaning of the cry. She knows when it is hunger, when it is pain, when it is weariness. How much more, then, does the infinite Mother, Father, God understand the cry of your soul? If human love interprets the tear of a child, divine love most certainly understands every tear you shed. You must change your perception of your tears. Many women of strength despise their tears, thinking them a sign of weakness. But hear me, beloved, your tears are not weakness. They are a release, a sacred expression of your humanity and divinity joined together. They wash the soul, they cleanse the spirit, they soften the heart. They are prayers in liquid form. To weep is not to fail. It is to pour your heart before the Almighty in the most honest way possible. Do not be ashamed of your tears. Jesus wept. He wept at the tomb of Lazarus. He wept over Jerusalem. The Son of God himself revealed that tears are not foreign to holiness, but part of it. If he wept, why should you despise your own tears? Rather, let them flow freely, knowing that each drop carries a message. Heaven understands. There are seasons when your words are exhausted. You have prayed the same prayer 1,000 times. You have spoken the same request until your lips are weary. Then the tears come, and you wonder if they mean anything. My dear one, the tears are the purest form of prayer, for they are without pretension, without adornment, without rehearsal. They are the overflow of your heart, directly to God. No words can capture what your tears express, and no words are needed. Heaven receives them as incense rising from your soul. Now let me tell you a secret of the Spirit. Tears are not only prayers of request, they are also seeds of transformation. The psalmist declared, "They that sow in tears shall reap in joy." Each tear is like a seed planted in the soil of your destiny. You may feel sorrow in the moment, but in time those tears will water the garden of your future joy. Nothing is wasted in God's economy. Not one tear slips from your eye without purpose. Not one sigh escapes your lips without notice. The Infinite collects them all, and in due season they return to you as strength, wisdom, and joy unspeakable. Beloved, when you lie upon your bed at night and the tears fall silently, know that you are not alone. The infinite presence surrounds you as a mother cradles her child. The angels of God stand guard, recording every tear, carrying every groaning to the throne above. You may think no one sees, no one cares, no one knows, but heaven sees. Heaven cares, heaven knows. Your tears are the evidence that your heart is alive, that your faith, though tested, still looks upward for help. You must remind yourself in those moments, my tears are not in vain. They are my prayers rising like incense to the Most High. Let that thought comfort you. Let it assure you that you do not weep into emptiness, but into eternity. You do not cry into a void, but into the very heart of God. Every tear has a destination, and its destination is divine compassion. Often, after the tears, a strange peace settles in the soul. Have you felt it? You weep until you have no strength left, and then suddenly a stillness, a calm beyond understanding fills you. That is the peace of God, descending upon you in response to your wordless prayers. That peace is heaven's answer, telling you that your cry was heard, your pain was acknowledged, your burden was received. My friend, I want you to see your tears differently from this day forward. Instead of despising them, honor them. Instead of hiding them, embrace them. Instead of seeing them as weakness, recognize them as strength. Only the strongest souls dare to be honest before God. Only the bravest hearts allow themselves to feel so deeply that tears flow. Your tears are a testament to your courage, your authenticity, your trust in the one who sees in secret. When you wipe your eyes, stand tall and affirm, my tears have spoken for me. My soul has prayed. My God has heard. I shall be comforted. This affirmation lifts you from despair into assurance. It reminds you that you are not forgotten, not forsaken, not abandoned. Your tears prove your connection to the divine, and that connection can never be severed. One day, the same God who has seen every tear will wipe them all away. One day, the promise will be fulfilled. He will wipe away every tear from their eyes. Until that day, trust that each tear carries meaning. Each tear is a prayer. Each tear is part of the sacred dialogue between your soul and your Creator. So do not harden yourself against weeping. Let your tears be your prayers. Let them be the rivers that carry your sorrow into the ocean of God's love. Let them soften your heart so that love may flow more freely. And as you weep, remember always, heaven is listening, the infinite is responding, and your tears are not in vain. Beloved, let me draw near to your heart and whisper a truth that will change the way you view every trial you have ever endured. God refines character through adversity. The soul is not shaped in days of ease, but in the furnace of challenge. Just as the blacksmith hammers iron in the fire to create a sword fit for battle, so too does the Infinite permit his strongest daughters to pass through the flames of trial, not to destroy them, but to make them vessels of honor. The pressure, the heat, the adversity, these are the sacred tools by which character is formed, purified, and perfected. Think of pure gold. It does not come from the earth, shining and radiant. It is mixed with dirt, with stone, with impurities. Only when it is placed in the refiner's fire does the dross rise to the surface, and the gold gleams in its brilliance. And so it is with you. Your soul was created pure, radiant, filled with the divine spark. But life's experiences often mix with that spark the dust of fear, resentment, pride, and doubt. The adversities you face are not punishments, but the refiner's fire, burning away all that is false, so that only the true, the eternal, and the beautiful remain. Do not misunderstand me, beloved. God is not the author of evil, nor does he delight in your pain, but in his infinite wisdom, he knows how to take even the hardest trial and transform it into a means of refinement. Every hardship becomes an opportunity to release what does not serve you, to surrender illusions, to embrace higher truths. The adversity does not define you, it refines you. It strips away the outer shells of self, so that the inner spirit, strong and radiant, may shine forth. Consider how character is developed. Patience is not born in moments of ease, but in seasons of waiting. Compassion is not learned in comfort, but in walking through pain and then recognizing it in others. Courage is not discovered in safety, but in stepping forward despite fear. Wisdom is not gathered from theory, but from lived experience, often carved into the soul by trial. Without adversity, these virtues would remain dormant, like seeds that never sprout. With adversity, they awaken, grow, and blossom into the fullness of who you were meant to be. Reflect on your own journey. Were not your greatest lessons learned in times of difficulty? Did not your heart deepen in compassion after you endured loss? Did you not discover strength you never knew when life pressed you to your limits? Each trial has been a teacher. Each storm has been a classroom. Each hardship has been a sculptor's hand shaping you into the masterpiece you are becoming. The truth, dear one, is that adversity is the divine alchemy of the soul. What looks like destruction is actually construction. What feels like breaking is actually making. What appears to be the end is often the beginning of a new and greater chapter. The pain is temporary, but the refinement it brings is eternal. Your character purified by trial becomes unshakable. When you are in the fire of adversity, affirm this truth. This fire will not consume me. It will refine me. This trial is not my defeat. It is my transformation. In speaking these words, you align your mind with divine law, and you open your spirit to see the purpose behind the pain. What once seemed meaningless becomes meaningful. You begin to realize that even adversity bows to the higher wisdom of God, serving a purpose beyond your understanding. Do not resist the refining process. Many women fight against it, harden their hearts, and in doing so prolong their suffering. But when you surrender, when you say, Lord, not my will, but yours be done, refine me, purify me, make me as gold, then the fire becomes a friend, not an enemy. It becomes the doorway to your highest self. You emerge from the trial not bitter but better, not hardened but softened, not broken but whole. Think of the great souls of Scripture. Joseph was refined in the pit and the prison before he ruled in the palace. Moses was refined in the wilderness before he led his people to freedom. Hannah was refined in years of barrenness before her prayer brought forth the prophet Samuel. Each of them endured adversity, but it was that very adversity that made them vessels of divine purpose. Without the fire, their destinies would not have been fulfilled. Beloved, when adversity comes, remind yourself that it is not here to destroy you, but to prepare you. Your character is being shaped, your faith is being strengthened, your heart is being purified. You are becoming a vessel through which God's light can shine more clearly. Do not measure the process by its pain. Measure it by its product. And the product is a soul radiant with love, anchored in faith, rich in wisdom, and strong in purpose. Lift your eyes, dear one. See beyond the fire to the gold. See beyond the hammer to the masterpiece. See beyond the storm to the calm that follows. Know that every adversity is temporary, but the refinement it brings is eternal. One day you will look back and say, "It was good for me that I was afflicted, for it taught me to trust, to grow, to become." And when others behold your life, they will see the radiance of your refined character. They will marvel at your peace in the storm, your love in the face of hate, your joy in the midst of sorrow. They will ask, "How can she endure?" Then you will say, "It was not me, but the infinite within me. I was refined in the fire, and the fire revealed the glory of God in me." So, beloved, do not fear adversity. Embrace it as the sacred refiner's fire. Walk through it with faith. Let it do its holy work. For on the other side you will stand as pure gold, a vessel of honor, a beacon of hope, a testimony of God's refining love. Beloved soul, let me reveal to you a secret that life whispers only to those who are willing to listen. Pain awakens hidden power within every trial. Every wound, every sorrow, there lies a gift concealed, waiting for the soul to discover it. Most people run from pain. They curse it. They despise it. Yet the very thing they avoid is the very thing that unlocks the greatness hidden within them. Pain is the teacher that opens the sealed doors of your spirit. It stirs dormant forces that comfort never calls forth. It summons the inner strength that you did not know you carried. Think of the seed buried in the soil. It must crack open, it must break apart before the life within can emerge. Without the breaking, there is no sprouting. Without the pressure of the earth above, the seed would never grow roots deep enough to sustain it. In the same way, pain cracks open the shell of your comfort and awakens the life, the potential, the divine power sleeping inside you. It may feel like death in the moment, but it is birth. The cracking of the seed is not its destruction. It is its awakening. Look at your own life, beloved. Have not your greatest discoveries come in moments of pain? The wisdom you now carry was often purchased at the price of tears. The resilience you now possess was forged in the furnace of affliction. The compassion you show others was awakened when you yourself walked the path of suffering. Pain forced you to dig deeper, to pray harder, to rise higher. It drew out strength you did not know you had. This is its hidden gift. There is within every woman of God an ocean of untapped strength. Comfort will never awaken it. Ease will never summon it. Only when the storm rises, only when the heart breaks, only when the night grows long, do you discover that within you is a power far greater than the storm itself. Pain is the voice that says, "Rise. Go deeper. Call upon what you thought you lacked." It awakens a sleeping giant within the soul. Do not despise this awakening, though it comes clothed in sorrow. Imagine a coal, dark, and common, yet when it is subjected to immense pressure, it becomes a diamond. Pain is the pressure of life, transforming your ordinary self into a radiant gem. Without the pressure, you would remain as coal. With it, your hidden brilliance is revealed. Let me assure you, beloved, the power awakened by pain is not just for your survival, it is for your mission. God allows you to pass through certain valleys so that the strength you gain there can be poured out for others. The courage you discover in your darkest night becomes the light that guides another woman through her own. The wisdom you harvest in suffering becomes the bread that feeds the hungry soul beside you. Your pain bursts power not only for yourself, but for the world around you. When pain comes, instead of saying, "Why me?" begin to say, "What gift lies hidden here? What strength is being awakened in me through this?" Shift your perspective, and the pain becomes a prison, but a teacher. It ceases to be meaningless and becomes purposeful. Every tear, every struggle, every sleepless night becomes a step toward unveiling the deeper reservoir of power within you. I know it is not easy. In the moment of pain, your mind cries for relief, your body trembles under the weight, your heart pleads for escape. Yet if you can hold to the truth that something sacred is happening beneath the surface, you will endure with hope. You will recognize that even in suffering, the infinite is at work, awakening the forces that will carry you into your destiny. Think of the eagle, beloved. It does not learn to fly in the nest. The mother eagle pushes her young out into the open sky. At first, the eaglet flails, terrified, believing it will fall. Yet in that moment of fear, its wings spread, and it discovers the power to soar. Without that push, without that discomfort, the eagle would never know the strength of its own wings. Pain is life's push. It thrusts you out of the nest of comfort, and in the terror of the fall, you discover the wings of faith, resilience, and courage. Do not think for a moment that the power awakened by pain is temporary. No, beloved, it remains with you. Once you have discovered that you can endure heartbreak and rise again, you carry that strength for the rest of your life. Once you have walked through the fire and survived, the flames can no longer terrify you. Once you have faced loss and still found meaning, nothing can rob you of your joy. Pain awakens permanent power. It alters your consciousness. It shifts your perspective forever. This is why the strongest women are often those who have suffered the most. Their pain carved into them wisdom, resilience, and faith that comfort could never teach. Their presence carries authority, not because they read it in a book, but because they lived it in their bones. They have walked through the valley of the shadow and discovered the strength of the shepherd's presence. Their very lives radiate the truth that pain awakens hidden power. So when pain comes to you, beloved, remember this: it is not your enemy. It is a messenger. It is a midwife, birthing new strength. It is a chisel, carving out your masterpiece. It is a fire, burning away what is false to reveal what is eternal. Let your heart declare in the midst of trial, though I suffer now, I am being awakened. Though I weep, power is rising within me. Though I feel broken, something greater is being born. Hold this truth close. The pain of today is the power of tomorrow. The wounds of this hour are the wisdom of the next. The sorrow of this night is the song of the coming dawn. Nothing is wasted. Every pang is purposeful. Every heartbreak is holy ground, where hidden strength is revealed. And one day, beloved, you will look back on the pain that once seemed unbearable, and you will smile. You will say, "It was there that I discovered who I truly am. It was there that God gave the power he placed in me. It was there that I became the woman I was destined to be." Then you will understand fully what I tell you now. Pain awakens hidden power, and through that power you shall fulfill your divine purpose. Beloved, let us go deeper into the mystery of why God's strongest daughters are often led through the wilderness of trial. The truth is this: suffering is the soil in which deep empathy grows. No one can truly understand the aching heart of another unless they themselves have felt the sharp edge of sorrow. A woman who has walked through the valley of tears gains a wisdom that books cannot teach, a compassion that sermons alone cannot give. She knows because she has lived it. She feels because she has endured it. And in this knowledge she becomes a vessel of healing for others. Consider the heart of a mother who has lost a child. Her eyes can meet the gaze of another grieving mother and speak without words. Her tears become a bridge that says, "I understand." No theory, no distant advice could ever reach so deeply into that sorrow. It is shared pain that unlocks shared compassion. So too, every trial you endure, every sorrow you carry, becomes a channel through which you can reach another soul. Your empathy deepens, your heart enlarges, and your spirit becomes a well from which others may draw. The infinite does not waste pain. He transforms it into ministry. He takes the ashes of your suffering and presses them into the oil of compassion. You may not see it while you weep, but later you will realize that your heart has been softened, broadened, enriched. You are no longer quick to judge, for you know how heavy burdens can be. You are no longer indifferent, for you have felt the sting of loneliness yourself. Your very presence becomes a comfort because people sense that you are not speaking from theory, but from lived experience. Think of Christ himself. The scriptures tell us that he was a man of sorrows, acquainted with grief. Why? Because only by walking through the full measure of human suffering could he touch the human heart with perfect understanding. When he meets the widow, he feels her loneliness. When he touches the leper, he feels his rejection. When he forgives the sinner, he knows the weight of shame. His empathy was born from his suffering, and so it is with you, beloved. Your trials are not wasted. They are preparing you to be a reflection of his compassion in this world. It is easy to offer words when you have never endured the struggle. But when you have walked through the fire, your words carry weight. They are not shallow sympathies, but rivers of truth. People listen, not because you speak loudly, but because you speak authentically. They sense that your compassion has been carved out of pain, and so they trust it. They lean on it. They are healed by it. Do not think, then, that your suffering is meaningless. It is making you into a healer. It is giving you the gift of empathy, the ability to step into another's shoes and feel their heart. That is why the strongest women often weep in secret. Their tears are watering the soil of compassion. Later, when someone sits across from them in brokenness, their presence will radiate the balm of comfort. They will know when to speak and when to be silent. They will know when to weep and when to rejoice. This wisdom is born in the classroom of suffering. Perhaps you remember a moment when you were deeply broken, and someone came to you, not with advice, not with solutions, but with presence. They simply sat with you, maybe held your hand, maybe shed a tear beside you. And in that simple act, you felt seen, understood, comforted. Why did it touch you so deeply? Because that person was speaking the language of empathy, a language learned only in the school of pain. Every time you pass through suffering, beloved, you are being given a new dialect of this sacred language. When you endure loss, you learn the words of consolation. When you walk through sickness, you learn the words of encouragement. When you face betrayal, you learn the words of forgiveness. Each trial expands your vocabulary of compassion, equipping you to speak directly to the wounds of others. This is why some of the most powerful ministers, teachers, mothers, and friends are those who have suffered deeply. Their authority does not come from title or position, but from empathy. They can say to another, I have been where you are. I know the darkness, but I also know the light that follows. I have walked the valley, but I have also seen the dawn. Such testimony heals more deeply than sermons, for it carries the fragrance of lived truth. When suffering comes, you may ask, why, Lord? And the answer whispered from eternity is this: so that you may know the hearts of others, so that you may be my hands to comfort them, so that your pain may be transformed into compassion. Your empathy becomes a ministry, a sacred offering. You begin to see others not as strangers, but as reflections of yourself. Their pain is your pain. Their joy is your joy. And this is the essence of love. Let me assure you, beloved, that the empathy born of suffering is one of the greatest treasures of the soul. It endures when beauty fades, when wealth is lost, when fame disappears. People will forget what you accomplished, but they will never forget how you made them feel. The warmth of your compassion, the depth of your understanding will remain etched in their hearts forever. And that compassion, that deep empathy, was born in the fire of your trial. So instead of cursing the path you have walked, bless it. Bless the nights of weeping, for they made you tender. Bless the losses, for they made you understanding. Bless the heartbreaks, for they made you compassionate. Even now, as you hear these words, let your heart declare, my suffering has not been wasted. It has made me more human, more loving, more Christ-like. One day, beloved, you will meet someone who is standing where you once stood, broken and weary, and you will look into their eyes and say, I understand. In that moment, you will realize why you had to walk your path. You will see the purpose behind the pain, and you will thank God, not for the suffering itself, but for the empathy it birthed in you, for the compassion it wove into your soul, for the ministry it unlocked through your life. Thus, suffering is not the end. It is the beginning of a deeper love. It is the soil in which the flowers of empathy bloom. It is the training ground for a heart that can comfort, heal, and uplift others. And when you look back on your journey, you will not see wasted tears. You will see rivers of compassion flowing from your soul, watering the dry ground of other lives, and bringing forth harvests of healing. Beloved, let us meditate upon a truth that shines like a hidden jewel in the heart of every trial. Suffering reveals divine purpose. Many women cry out in their hours of sorrow, "Why is this happening to me? Why must I bear this pain?" And in that cry, they do not yet see that their suffering is not random, not meaningless, not wasted. It is often the very doorway through which their higher calling is revealed. Behind every affliction lies a sacred assignment. Behind every heartbreak, a holy unveiling. The Infinite, in His wisdom, permits trials not to break you, but to point you toward your purpose. Imagine, dear one, a pearl hidden in the depths of the ocean. How is that pearl formed? It is born when the oyster suffers irritation from a grain of sand. The oyster covers its pain with layer upon layer until that very irritation becomes a thing of beauty. The suffering created the treasure. So it is with your soul. The grain of sorrow, the wound of life, becomes the birthplace of your pearl, your purpose, your calling, your unique gift to the world. Without the irritation, there would be no pearl. Without the pain, the treasure within would remain hidden. So many women have discovered their divine assignment only after walking through the furnace of affliction. The barren woman, once despised, becomes the prophetess, whose prayers shake the heavens. The widow, once crushed by loneliness, becomes the voice of encouragement to others who grieve. The betrayed one, once wounded to the core, becomes a teacher of forgiveness and reconciliation. The storm that seemed to destroy them was, in truth, a compass, pointing them toward the field in which their destiny lay buried. Beloved, suffering has a way of stripping away illusions. When everything is easy, when comfort surrounds you, you may wander far from your deepest purpose. But when adversity comes, it shakes you, awakens you, forces you to ask the questions you had ignored. What is the meaning of my life? What is God calling me to do? Why was I born? These questions, awakened by pain, lead you directly into your divine assignment. The soul, stripped of vanity, becomes receptive to the whisper of eternity. Think of Joseph in the scriptures. Sold into slavery, falsely accused, cast into prison, every trial seemed like a cruel detour. Yet each step of suffering was in truth a step toward his destiny. For it was in prison that his gift of interpreting dreams was revealed. Without the betrayal, without the dungeon, Joseph would never have risen to the palace. His suffering revealed his purpose, and so it is with you. The pain you endure today may be the stage upon which your destiny will one day unfold. There are women who discover their calling to heal only because they themselves were wounded. There are women who learn to speak life only because they once tasted the bitterness of despair. There are women who lead others out of darkness only because they themselves once walked there. Suffering gives birth to divine purpose because it makes you live the very lesson you were born to teach. Do not despise the season you are in. You may think it is a curse, but it may well be the cradle of your calling. The Infinite is shaping you, positioning you, preparing you. Each tear waters the soil of your destiny. Each loss clears away what was never meant to remain. Each heartbreak redirects your path to the place where your purpose awaits. The very thing you think has ended you may, in truth, be the thing that births you. There is no wasted pain in God's economy. Every sorrow is recycled into meaning. Every affliction carries within it a seed of revelation. When you align your mind with this truth, you no longer see suffering as random. You see it as a divine message. You ask not why me, but what purpose is being revealed in me through this. And when you ask this with faith, the Infinite answers. The purpose that was hidden begins to emerge. Look, beloved, at how suffering reshapes your vision. Before, you may have lived only for yourself, chasing pleasures and comforts. But after you have wept, after you have lost, after you have endured, your eyes open to the needs of others. You begin to see suffering all around you, and you say, I must do something. I must use what I have endured to help someone else. This shift, this awakening, is divine purpose being revealed. It is no longer about your comfort. It is about your calling. Remember that the olive must be crushed to release its oil. The grape must be pressed to pour forth its wine. And you, beloved, may be crushed, pressed, stretched, not because God delights in your pain, but because he desires to release through you the fragrance of your unique calling. Without the crushing, the oil would remain locked inside. Without the pressing, the wine would never flow. Without the suffering, your divine purpose might never come forth. Do not fear this process. Trust it. Trust that the Infinite knows what he is doing with your life. You may not see the full picture now, but one day you will look back and understand. You will say, "It was good that I was afflicted. For in my affliction I discovered my purpose. In my suffering I found my calling. In my brokenness I found my mission. And in that moment all the pain will be transfigured into glory." Beloved, lift up your heart today and declare, "My suffering is not meaningless. My pain is not wasted. Within every trial lies the revelation of my purpose. I am being guided, prepared, and unveiled." Speak these words with conviction, and you will feel the weight of sorrow transform into the wings of destiny. The world is waiting for you, dear one. There are lives that only you can touch, wounds that only your story can heal, burdens that only your testimony can lift. That is why you must pass through the fire, because your fire becomes another's light. Your wounds become another's medicine. Your journey becomes another's map. This is the holy mystery of suffering. It reveals divine purpose. So walk forward, not in despair, but in expectation. Every step of your journey is sacred. Every scar is a signpost pointing you toward destiny. Every sorrow is a seed of purpose sown into the soil of earth. And when at last you stand in the fullness of your calling, you will see clearly what you only glimpsed in faith, that your suffering was the hand of God shaping you, guiding you, unveiling you for his glory. Beloved, let us open the eyes of the soul to another radiant truth. Trials cultivate unshakable faith. Faith that has never been tested remains fragile, like a house built on sand. It looks strong from the outside, but when the winds rise and the storms beat upon it, it collapses. Yet faith that has walked through fire and endured sorrow becomes a fortress. It cannot be shaken, because it has been proven in the crucible of life. And so the strongest women, those who have endured the greatest pain, often carry within them the deepest, most resilient faith. You see, beloved, it is easy to believe in God when everything is flowing in your favor, when your health is vibrant, your family secure, your finances stable. But when the storm comes, when the prayers seem unanswered, when the night grows long, it is there that faith is either shattered or strengthened. Adversity demands that you choose. Do you lean into fear, or do you lean into trust? Do you collapse under the weight, or do you discover the infinite presence holding you? This is the holy gift of trial. It forces faith to grow root. Imagine a tree in a sheltered valley where the breezes are gentle and the rains steady. Its roots are shallow because it has never been pressed to go deeper. Then think of a tree standing on a wind-swept hill. Storms beat upon it. Winds threaten to uproot it. Rains pound against its trunk. To survive, it must push its roots deep into the soil, clinging to the rock beneath. This tree becomes strong, unmovable, because the storm forced its roots to go deeper. So it is with you. Without trials, your faith may remain shallow. With trials, your faith grows deep, anchored not in circumstances, but in the rock of ages. Consider the widow of Zarephath. When famine came, she had nothing left but a handful of flour and a little oil. In that moment of trial, she was asked by the prophet to trust the unseen promise of God. She obeyed, and her supply never ran dry. Her faith was not born in abundance, but in scarcity. Or think of Abraham, tested when asked to offer his son Isaac. It was not in times of ease that his faith was revealed, but in the moment of supreme trial. And from that trial came the revelation that God is Jehovah Jireh, the provider. Each story in Scripture shows us this pattern. Unshakable faith is born in the crucible of trial. Beloved, when you face adversity, recognize that your faith is being stretched, refined, and made strong. Do not despise the stretching. Just as muscles grow only when they are tested under weight, faith grows when it is exercised under pressure. The pain you feel in the moment is not evidence of abandonment. It is evidence of training. The infinite is training you to trust him beyond what the eyes can see, beyond what the mind can reason, beyond what the heart can feel. This is unshakable faith. Often, trials strip away false supports. When friends walk away, when finances crumble, when health fails, you are left with one foundation, God alone. And in that moment, you discover that he is enough. You realize that even if all else fails, the presence of the infinite sustains you. This realization is worth every tear, because it anchors you in the eternal. Never again can the storms of life truly terrify you, for you have found the one who dwells within, unchanging, unshakable. Let me tell you this, beloved. Trials are temporary, but the faith they cultivate is eternal. Once you have walked through the valley and seen God's hand carry you, that faith becomes part of your very being. It cannot be taken from you. It cannot be destroyed. It shines in your eyes. It steadies your voice. It radiates in your presence. Others will marvel, saying, "How does she remain so calm? How does she still believe?" And the answer will be simple, because your faith has been tested and it has endured. Think of Daniel in the lion's den. His faith was tested when he chose to pray. Despite the decree, the den was the trial, but the trial revealed the unshakable nature of his trust. Or think of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the fiery furnace. They declared, "Even if our God does not deliver us, we will not bow." This is the language of unshakable faith, a faith that trials cannot destroy, but only magnify. And what was the result? In the midst of the fire, the presence of God was revealed. So it will be in your life. The fire that threatened to consume you will become the place where you encounter the divine most intimately. Beloved, you may look at your circumstances now and say, "I cannot endure this." But I tell you, within you lies a faith greater than you imagine. It is being awakened by your trial. Each day you rise again. Each prayer you whisper in the dark. Each step you take, though weary, is building faith muscles unseen. You may not notice it now, but one day you will look back and see that the very storm you feared was the storm that built your strength. Let your heart declare, even now, "Though I am tested, I will trust. Though I cannot see, I will believe. Though I walk through fire, I will emerge refined." My faith is unshakable, because it is anchored in the eternal. These affirmations align your consciousness with divine truth. They shift your focus from the problem to the presence of God within. And in that shift, peace descends, courage rises, and faith holds firm. Do not measure your faith by the absence of fear, beloved. Measure it by the choice to trust despite fear. Faith is not the denial of difficulty. It is the decision to lean on the infinite in the midst of it. The trial is not proof of weakness, but the opportunity for strength. Each time you choose trust over despair, you lay another stone in the fortress of unshakable faith. And when you emerge from this season, your testimony will shine. You will not only say, "God is faithful," but you will say, "I know he is faithful, for I have seen his hand in my own life." This testimony cannot be argued with. It carries authority because it is carved into your very being. Your faith will inspire others, lifting them when they falter, showing them that it is possible to endure, to believe, to overcome. So, beloved, do not fear the trial. Welcome it as the holy furnace in which your faith is refined. Stand tall in the storm, knowing that your roots are sinking deeper into the eternal rock. Lift your eyes above the waves, for the infinite walks upon them. And remember always, trials pass, but the faith they cultivate endures forever. Beloved, hear this sacred revelation. The weight of great suffering often comes hand in hand with the weight of great destiny. The infinite never places a heavy burden upon a soul without also placing within her the strength, the grace, and the purpose to carry it. If your shoulders have borne the weight of trials, if your heart has endured storms that seemed impossible, then know this truth: your calling is extraordinary. You are being prepared not for an ordinary path, but for a divine mission that requires the depth of character only suffering can create. Look at the mighty oak tree, beloved. In its early days, it is but a fragile sapling swaying in the breeze. If it were sheltered always, protected from every wind, pampered by the elements, it would remain weak, unable to bear fruit or shelter others. But because it is exposed to storms, because the winds press upon it, because it learns to resist the tempest, it grows strong. Its roots dig deep, its trunk becomes firm, and one day it towers with majesty, giving shade and strength to all around it. The storms that once threatened to break it were in truth the very forces that built it. So too are your trials shaping you for the greatness of your destiny. There is within every woman chosen for extraordinary purpose a weight that she must carry. This is why you may feel at times that life has been harder for you than for others. It is not because you are cursed. It is because you are chosen. Your destiny requires refinement, and refinement requires fire. Your mission demands wisdom, and wisdom demands experience. The mantle you are meant to bear cannot rest upon shallow shoulders. It needs the strength forged in adversity. Think of Esther, beloved. She was an orphan, a woman without power or position. Yet through her suffering and hiddenness, she was prepared to become queen, to stand before the king, to save her people. Her destiny was heavy. It demanded courage that could face death itself. But the years of trial prepared her for that moment. Or think of Mary, the mother of Jesus. She bore the weight of misunderstanding, rejection, and ultimately the agony of watching her son suffer. Why? Because her destiny was unparalleled. To be the vessel through which the light of the world entered demanded a strength few could endure. Her suffering was in proportion to her calling. So it is with you, beloved. Do not envy those whose lives seem easy, whose roads seem smooth. Their destiny may not require the depth that yours does. Instead, embrace the truth that the heaviness of her burden is a sign of the magnitude of your purpose. The greater the call, the greater the preparation. The deeper the mission, the deeper the suffering that molds you for it. This is not punishment. It is positioning. It is the infinite saying, I have trusted you with more, and therefore I am preparing you with more. Let your heart no longer cry, why me? But instead whisper, thank you for entrusting me. This shift in perspective transforms sorrow into strength. It lifts your eyes from the weight of the trial to the glory of the purpose. You begin to realize that every tear is watering the soil of your mission. Every scar is becoming the map for your ministry. Every trial is shaping the crown you shall wear. Destiny is not light, beloved. It is heavy because it carries within it the power to change lives, to shift generations, to reveal the divine. That is why your path may have been harder. That is why you have been misunderstood, rejected, pressed, and stretched. The infinite is enlarging your capacity so that when the time comes, you can carry the destiny prepared for you without breaking beneath it. Imagine a vessel that must hold great treasure. If it is small and fragile, it will shatter under the weight. But if it is strengthened, widened, reinforced, it will carry the treasure with ease. You, beloved, are that vessel. Your trials are the strengthening, the widening, the reinforcing. One day you will carry the treasure of your destiny, the lives you will touch, the souls you will inspire, the love you will pour out, and you will realize why your preparation had to be so intense. Do not despise the heaviness. When your heart feels weary, remind yourself, this weight is not punishment, it is prophecy. It speaks of the greatness within me. It is the evidence that my destiny is vast, my mission profound, my calling divine. In this affirmation, your spirit will rise, your faith will strengthen, and your suffering will take on meaning. Think of the Apostle Paul. He endured shipwrecks, imprisonments, beatings, betrayals. Yet he declared, this light affliction, which is but for a moment, works for us a far more exceeding and eternal weight of glory. He recognized that his suffering was not wasted, but was directly tied to the glory of his mission. Without the weight, there could be no glory. Without the trial, there could be no triumph. Beloved, one day the pieces of your life will come together. You will see clearly that the nights of weeping were making you tender, that the losses were making you wise, that the battles were making you strong. And in that moment, you will step into your destiny with the quiet authority of one who has been prepared by fire. Others will see only your strength, your radiance, your wisdom, but you will know the secret, that it was born from suffering, that it was forged in the hidden place where God met you and shaped you. Hold fast, then, to this truth. The weight of your suffering is the shadow of the greatness of your destiny. The burden you carry is not to destroy you, but to prove you, to shape you, to equip you. Every moment of pain is matched by a moment of purpose. Every season of trial is balanced by a season of triumph. The infinite is weaving it all into a tapestry of destiny, more beautiful than you can now imagine. Lift your heart, beloved, and declare, I am chosen for a great purpose. My trials are preparing me, my destiny is extraordinary, and I embrace the process that leads me there. Speak these words with conviction, and you will feel your burden transform into strength. The weight of suffering will no longer crush you. It will carry you forward into the fullness of your calling. Beloved, let us contemplate with reverence a truth that many overlook. The greatest suffering often unveils the deepest intimacy with the divine. When all earthly supports fall away, when the heart has been pierced by grief, when the night seems endless and comfort nowhere to be found, it is there, in that silent abyss, that the soul often encounters the infinite in ways never known before. The pain that seemed unbearable becomes the doorway to presence. The loneliness that felt crushing becomes the space where God whispers most clearly. Suffering in its mystery is not only a refiner of character and a revealer of purpose, it is also the sacred invitation into union with the eternal. When the heart is broken, the noise of the world grows faint. You no longer find satisfaction in trivial pleasures. You are stripped of illusions, of false securities, of shallow pursuits. In this nakedness of the soul, you are ready to perceive the still small voice. In your tears, the infinite bends low and says, I am here. And for the first time, you feel it, not as a theory, not as a teaching, but as a living presence that sustains you moment by moment. This is why many of the strongest women, those who have endured unspeakable trials, radiate a quiet glow. They have walked with God in the furnace of affliction, and their souls bear the fragrance of his nearness. Think of Hannah, weeping in the temple, pouring out her anguish before God. It was in her desperation that she touched heaven, and heaven responded with the gift of a son who would become a prophet. Think of Hagar, cast out into the wilderness with her child, weeping beneath the desert sky. It was in her despair that the angel of the Lord appeared, opening her eyes to a well of water. Think of Mary at the foot of the cross, her heart shattered beyond words, and yet in that moment of unimaginable pain, she was entrusted with a new calling, to become mother to the beloved disciple. Each story shows us this. In the deepest sorrow, the divine draws nearest. Beloved, suffering empties you of self so that you may be filled with spirit. When life is easy, you may rely on your own strength, your own wisdom, your own plan. But in suffering, when your strength fails, when your wisdom proves insufficient, when your plans crumble, you fall into the arms of the infinite. You begin to discover that beneath everything else lies a presence that cannot be shaken. You realize, though I walk through the valley of the shadow, I am not alone. The Eternal walks with me, and this realization transforms you forever. In these sacred encounters, you come to know God not as an abstract idea, but as living reality. You feel his peace guarding your heart when anxiety should have crushed you. You sense his comfort holding you when no human hand could reach you. You experience his strength lifting you when you thought you could not rise again. And from that moment forward, no argument, no doubt, no adversity can take this knowing from you. You have tasted the sweetness of divine intimacy, and it sustains you through every storm. Beloved, I tell you this with certainty. Those who suffer deeply are often those who know God most intimately. Their prayers carry power because they are prayed not from lips, but from broken hearts. Their worship carries weight because it rises not from convenience, but from sacrifice. Their very lives become altars where sorrow has been laid down and transformed into communion. This is why you feel a quiet authority in their presence. They speak little, but their silence radiates strength. They may not have escaped the fire, but they have walked with the eternal within it. Do not fear then when suffering comes. Do not believe the lie that you are abandoned. Instead, remember that the infinite is nearest in the hour of pain. He is the friend who sits with you in the midnight hour. He is the comforter who weeps with you in your sorrow. He is the light that flickers gently in your darkest night. The intimacy discovered here is not fleeting. It marks your soul forever. You emerge with a depth of faith and a richness of love that can never be shaken. Consider how gold is refined in fire. The fire does not create the gold, it reveals it. In the same way, suffering does not create God's presence in your life. It reveals it. It strips away distractions, silences noise, and opens your inner eye to the reality that the infinite was with you all along. You may not have noticed him in your ease, but you cannot miss him in your trial. Every tear becomes a prayer. Every sigh becomes a hymn. Every moment of pain becomes a point of contact with the divine. This is the paradox of suffering, beloved. It feels like loss, yet it brings gain. It feels like absence, yet it reveals presence. It feels like breaking, yet it births wholeness. The soul that has walked through sorrow emerges luminous, carrying within it a secret joy, a peace that surpasses understanding, a faith that does not waver. This is the fruit of intimacy with the divine born in suffering. Beloved, allow your pain to become prayer. Allow your tears to become communion. When the heart breaks, lift it toward heaven and say, "Here I am. I cannot carry this alone. Fill me with your peace. Walk with me through this night." Do this sincerely, and you will discover that you are never alone. Even in the silence, you will sense the eternal by your side. Even in the storm, you will feel the calm of his presence within. And in this discovery, your suffering will become sacred ground. One day you will look back on your trials and realize that they were not only seasons of pain, but seasons of encounter. You will say, "It was there, in my brokenness, that I came to know God most deeply. It was there, in my sorrow, that I felt his love most tenderly. It was there, in my weakness, that his strength became my own." And with that realization, you will no longer see suffering as wasted. You will see it as the pathway that led you into the heart of the divine. So, beloved, lift your spirit now. Whatever you endure, know that the eternal walks with you. Your suffering is not in vain. It is unveiling intimacy. It is drawing you closer to the source of all life, the well that never runs dry, the presence that never leaves. And when you emerge, you will carry with you not only strength and wisdom, but also the fragrance of the divine. A testimony that even in suffering, love is near, peace is possible, and God is real. Beloved, the mysteries of life are not complete without the understanding of this eternal law. The crown always comes after the cross. The road of suffering is never the final destination, for hidden beyond every valley of tears lies the radiant mountaintop of triumph. The Eternal never allows a season of sorrow without preparing a harvest of joy. The Infinite does not permit a night of trial without planning the dawn of victory. It is written into the fabric of life itself that the seed must first fall into the ground and die before it brings forth fruit, that the caterpillar must endure the stillness of the cocoon before it emerges with wings, that the winter must strip the earth bare before spring adorns it again with blossoms. So too, beloved, your suffering is not the end, but the preparation for a glory that shall be revealed. When you look at the life of the Master, you see this principle in its purest form. Jesus bore the cross heavy with pain, humiliation, and rejection. The cross was not a symbol of defeat, was the doorway to resurrection. Without the agony of Gethsemane, without the nails, without the tomb, there could be no risen Christ, no radiant declaration that life is stronger than death, that light conquers darkness, that love triumphs over hatred. The cross came first, but it was always followed by the crown. And this is not only his story, beloved, it is your story too. Your crosses may not be of wood and nails, but you know their weight. The cross of grief, when you have buried a loved one. The cross of betrayal, when trust was shattered. The cross of loneliness, when you felt unseen and unheard. The cross of hardship, when the struggle to survive seemed endless. Each cross feels heavy. Each brings you to your knees. Yet do not despair, for the same eternal presence that raised Jesus from the grave is at work in your life, turning every cross into a crown. Beloved, remember this truth. The cross refines you, but the crown defines you. The suffering is temporary, but the glory it produces is eternal. The pain shapes your character, but the reward reveals your destiny. Do not despise the cross, for it is the womb of your victory. Out of the very place of your deepest sorrow will come your sweetest song. Out of the ashes of your trial will rise the beauty of your testimony. Think of Joseph, sold by his brothers, cast into prison, forgotten by men. His cross was long and bitter. Yet one day he stood in Pharaoh's palace, crowned with authority, declaring to those who had wronged him, "You meant it for evil, but God meant it for good." Think of Job, stripped of health, wealth, and family, sitting in the ashes of despair. Yet after his season of trial, he received double for his trouble. and his end was greater than his beginning. Think of Ruth, widowed and destitute, gleaning in the fields of Boaz. Her cross was loneliness and loss, yet her crown was restoration, a place in the lineage of the Messiah himself. So it is, beloved. The cross is never the conclusion. It is the prelude to the crown. Your weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. The darkest tunnel is always followed by the brilliance of light. The hardest battle precedes the sweetest victory. The infinite has written this rhythm into the very heartbeat of the universe. Descent, then ascent, breaking, then blessing, cross, then crown. Therefore, lift your eyes when you find yourself beneath the weight of the cross. Do not see only the pain, see also the promise. Do not focus only on the present burden, look ahead to the future blessing. Say within yourself, this too shall pass. Beyond this valley lies a mountain. Beyond this sorrow lies joy. Beyond this cross lies my crown. And with this conviction, strength will rise within you. You will find courage to endure, patience to wait, faith to trust. Beloved, the crown that awaits you is not only for the life to come. It begins here now. Every time you emerge from a trial stronger than before, you wear a crown of resilience. Every time you choose love instead of bitterness, you wear a crown of compassion. Every time you rise from the ashes of despair with renewed hope, you wear a crown of victory. And in the life beyond, when all tears are wiped away, when all sorrow is turned into joy, the Eternal shall place upon you the crown of everlasting life, radiant with the beauty of your faithfulness. Do not think for a moment that your suffering is wasted. Every cross you carry is shaping the crown you shall wear. Every trial endured with faith is weaving jewels into your eternal reward. The Infinite misses nothing. He sees every tear, hears every sigh, feels every pang of your heart, and he promises that nothing endured in his name will be in vain. Your suffering is seed, and your harvest shall be abundant. Beloved, allow your heart to rest in this assurance. Your cross is not forever. The weight you carry is not eternal. Even now, unseen forces are working on your behalf. The Eternal is orchestrating circumstances, aligning opportunities, opening doors. At the appointed time, your crown will be revealed, and all will see that your labor, your tears, your prayers were not in vain. You will look back and say, surely goodness and mercy have followed me all the days of my life. Therefore, carry your cross with courage, knowing that a crown awaits. Walk through your valley with hope, knowing that a mountaintop is near. Embrace your night with trust, knowing that the dawn is certain. And when the day comes, and it will, you shall stand radiant, adorned not only with an earthly testimony, but with the eternal glory of one who has endured and overcome. Beloved, let these words be written upon your heart. The cross is heavy, but the crown is glorious. The trial is bitter, but the reward is sweet. The suffering is temporary, but the joy is everlasting. Hold fast to this truth, and your spirit will never faint. You will walk with quiet strength, knowing that every step beneath the weight of the cross is bringing you closer to the glory of the crown.